Second event of the day underway with heat number 1 of 4, but it is a huge heat when it comes to point implications as we close out the opening day for the men here in Germany. We mentioned Christiansen in 4th. 2 other athletes here in the top 5. That includes in 3rd place Lucas Hogberg, who is making his way to the bench already with 10 quick deadlifts at 295 pounds. Now he's on to the 195 pound or 89 kilo bench press for his set of 10.
And Lucas Högberg was so close last year to making it to the games. I think it was a 2-point differential between him and Fredrik Egidius. I think Lucas is coming back more fired up than I've ever seen him before. He really wants to make sure that he gets to go to the games again. He feels like he could have done great there.
Now he leads the way, but he's going to lose that lead quickly, at least here in round number 1, as he's going for that single strategy. Zach George off camera in lane number 3 was behind him, but he's going with the touch and go, which might not pay off for him in the end, but he is out in front here at this point. So Hogberg is in that lead battle, but leading the way in terms of the point standings in this heat is in 2nd place in the overall standings, Roman Krennikov, who nearly had the event win in event number 1.
Roman did really, really well. Now he wasn't used to the event. He wasn't sure that he was actually going to do it, or that he was actually going to do that well. So it's going to be interesting to see him in an event where he feels more comfortable. He said before that this was an event he felt good about.
He saw Krennikov in the white shirt, makes his way back to the deadlift bar for the set of 9. He is in the 2nd position, as in lane number 3, no shirt and black shorts that you saw a moment ago, Zach George leading the way, but he has that aggressive strategy that might be that run through the wall and see if he can hang on type.
Well, Zach didn't exactly get the start to the with the first event that I think he was looking for, and I think he wants to redeem himself, and he feels really comfortable with this event as well. You can tell by the way he's moving forward. Now, it is going to be interesting to see whether he's going to be able to hold on to this, or if this hard pace early on is going to punish him later.
Zach George entering this in 34th place, and this might be starting to get to that point where you have to do that damage control from the first event. It might change your keys, but in general, what are we looking at here in event number 2?
Well, so as always, there are a couple of things that I think could make or break you. One is, it is not a sprint. Even there's a 17-minute time cap. I don't think a lot of these guys are going to need 17 minutes, but you need to partition your effort. You need to know when to make a move. Technical excellence is another one of these things. A tight bar path and being able to position yourself under the bar in the right way is going to set you up for expending less energy on every single solitary rep, and that's going to serve you well as you get further into the event. The last thing is avoid the no reps. Even though it's not a sprint and is a slightly longer event, there's just no time for no reps. You want to make sure that all the energy you expend is going to propel you towards a fast finish, not towards an extra rep.
So Zach George, you see him walking towards the deadlift bar, continuing to lead the way, even though in round 1 he went touch and go, in round 2 he went for the singles. Marcus Schmidt moving into the picture as he continues to go touch and go. But Roman Krennikov in 3rd, and there's Lucas Hogberg in 4th here in the heat, as we're still in the very early stages. But this will progress quickly throughout these final rounds. As you think about it, there's 55 reps of each movement. We're already through 19 of those 55.
This is true, but considering the way that this event is set up, you can actually get all the way halfway through the reps and still not feel like you've done half the work. It's a brilliantly programmed piece of work that's it's wreaked havoc on people before.
I'm not sure if that was just kind of clipping the clip, for lack of better words there, I suppose, or if that was a little bit of sign of fatigue there. That left arm for George kind of looked a little bit slow on a couple of those reps.
And that's the beauty of what these athletes are doing right now, is that it is going to challenge your every ability. You need to maintain focus. You need to position yourself smartly under the bar for the cleans, but you also need to be able to position your work so that your rest-work ratio will still allow you to access all your athletic prowess, so to speak. If you go too fast, one arm may not serve you well. You may find yourself getting underneath the bar a little bit too slowly, not getting the repetition or having to fight for it. and you just don't need that at this point.
Top two here in the heat. Marcus Schmidt on the left, Zach George on the right. And I don't know if it's by choice or by necessity, but they have both foregone the touch and go strategy on the cleans with that 145-pound, 66-kilo bar. Lucas Hogberg moving into continuing to hold to the fourth position as Krennikov is holding third. Hogberg not far behind. The two leaders continuing to hold a pretty decent lead here. They close out the set of 7 on the deadlifts at 295 pounds, about 134 in kilos.
So Zach is back to the bench press now. We did see that left arm give in just a little bit on the previous set. Let's see if that was just a coincidence or if it's sorted itself out.
Now, a couple of notes that I think that might have just been a little bit of an odd rep there, the one that we saw where it slowed down. But a couple of notes here. One, we just saw the bench press. You have to keep your hands inside the second grip ring, as they put it in the athlete briefing yesterday. So there is a standard in terms of that, as well as keeping your butt and your feet, or your butt on the bench, your feet on the ground. The other thing is, some people were wondering, where did these weights come from? Linda typically is based on your body weight percentage. Well, we kind of are doing that. We're going with the average of the athletes that have been here at the regional level.
Exactly, and I think that's a smart and an even way to do it. What that means is that we have a 295-pound or 134-kilo deadlift. We've got a 195-pound or 89-kilo bench press and 145 or 66-kilo clean. I think it was a smart way of making sure that everybody was doing the same work.
This just tightened up in a hurry. It is still Marcus Schmidt out front, but 1 second ahead of the man in white, Roman Krennikov, who's looking to cap off an incredible opening day of competition. Zach George in third, Lucas Hogberg a couple of reps away from joining them in the round of 6.
And you see the pace is starting to slow down significantly on these reps. But Roman Krennikov is doing a great job. He's got to love how this weekend is unfolding for him.
Still looking rather smooth on the bench press. He might need to start watching his hips, as you can see them start to come up just a little bit.
And I think that Adrian Bosman was talking about, if I was shining a flashlight from the side, if I can see light on the other side of your body, you have come off the bench.
And a no rep here, and that one, from what I'm gathering from the gestures from the judge, they were told you have to lock it out and then bring the bar back into the rack. I believe he was bringing it back into the rack as he was locking it out, based on the gestures from that judge. So I believe that's the no rep there for Zach George, but it might prove costly. He didn't lose any positions. He was third at that time. He's still third, but he has lost a lot of ground to Lucas Hogberg.
And it's going to be interesting to see now whether Lucas is going to opt for the touch and go, or if he's going to go 1 rep at a time. It looks like he's still going 1 rep, but he has increased his speed just a little bit.
Krennikov and Schmidt simultaneously roll their bar to the 5 spot on the floor, indicating they're on the round of 5 now, as that is the advancement of the bar. You move it into the round you're going to next. We keep an eye on the 3rd place race. Currently, well, now that's a tie as well at this point, as Hogberg just ahead because of the transition speed, ahead of Zach George. So put Hogberg in 3rd. It's Schmidt and Krennikov side by side with each other working on the bench. And those 4 have separated themselves from the rest of the field by a good margin.
They have. And they're still looking very, very solid. I mean, Marcus Schmidt, I was afraid that he was going to blow out too fast, that he was going to blow up in the end. But, I mean, he still looks really, really calm and composed. Look at that snappy hip and making sure that he's not overexerting himself in any way, shape, or form. Stands all the way up, has a good conversation with his judge. I like this.
Now on the far right side, you'll see that plate that's bouncing every now and then. It's being blocked by the judge. There it is again. That is the lane for Roman Krennikov. So they are next to each other, going once again for the touch and go here to close out the set of 5. And still simultaneously they advance the bar, turn around, and it's near. We saw synchronization chest to bar pull-ups in the team competition earlier. We're seeing synchronized squat cleans, roll the bar, and walk to the deadlift bar for your 2 leaders here in this heat.
I don't think they, let's put it this way, I don't think that Roman Kremnikov or Marcus Schmidt had a conversation about this in the locker room in the warm-up area before. Let's just follow pace. It just happens that way. The interesting part is that even though there aren't that many reps left on the floor for him, this could still change.
And we're starting to see a little bit more waving of the bar here on the way up. Krennikov still going those 4 unbroken, as did Schmidt. Schmidt has been faster on the deadlift and bench press. Krennikov faster on the squat clean to close out each round. It's interesting to see how that plays out as we're entering the final 3 rounds after these 4 cleans. So first to the bar, a 1-rep advantage for Schmidt, who's now going singles. Krennikov going touch and go for at least the first 2. Touch and go for the last 2 for Schmidt, and he will actually have about a half-second lead over Krennikov this time. Schmidt on the left, Krennikov on the right. We're in the final 3 rounds. So just 18 reps total remain, 6 of each movement. First to the deadlift bar will be Schmidt. Högberg has now moved his way pretty comfortably into 3rd, but not in striking distance of the 2 leaders.
And this is where Schmidt has been making a mark in the last couple of rounds. He's been really, really good, really snappy on his bench presses, where Kremnikov has been fighting it out just a little bit more.
And we're almost level again, though. As Schmidt now having a jog, Krennikov follows suit. Krennikov getting a little push from the Russian contingent here as they're behind us, chanting his name, trying to get him to go that last little bit and possibly chase down Schmidt, they're both going to go touch and go, and they're both going to advance the bar simultaneously once again. We have 2 rounds remaining. Krennikov turns and runs towards the deadlift bar. Schmidt having to pick up that same pace, but it is a slight advantage for Krennikov over Schmidt as they start the round of 2. Quicker transitions might be the deciding factor here in our final couple of rounds. Set of 2 complete. It might also come down to a mistake. If you rack that bar a little too quickly, if you try to stand up and drop that bar a little too quick on the cleans, it's got to be clean, but it's got to be fast. Krennikov out in front by 2 reps now, and he's picking up the pace, running about the same speed he did with his quick event 1 finish. And this might be out of reach at this point for Schmidt, as Krennikov already through the 1 deadlift, makes his way to the bench. There's the 1 press, and 1 rep remains for Roman Krennikov. We spoke about a group of athletes that might make that push to join the notable games athletes for those 5 qualifying spots, but after day 1, you might see Roman Krennikov leading the leaderboard if this continues.
What a way to execute the event for Roman. He's got to love the way that panned out. Schmidt looking pretty happy with second place as well, and I think he should be. He did very, very well.
And Schmidt is in at 13:08. Wow, for being simultaneous for much of the 6 through 2 rounds there, it's an 18-second differential for Krennikov over Schmidt.
Well, Krennikov's start was a little bit slower, and I think he left a little bit in the tank to be able to increase his speed in the end, which was just really, really smart. And here we see Lucas Högberg running up for his last clean as well.
And Lucas will be our next finisher in at 13:42. Might be worth noting for those yet to go, either here at this regional or those at the other regionals. Of course, this is the lead regional in terms of the order this season. 2 of the top 3 went singles right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I think it's smart. I think it's really smart. Just drop it, make sure that both for your grip, but even more for your lower back, having to control that weight on the way down. That's hard work. So if you can go fast once, that may serve you better. We still have a couple of heats to go, though, where we may be proven wrong.
James St. Leger, he's working on the round of 4 now, but he had the costly mistake of making his way almost all the way back down the floor, but he forgot to advance the bar. Judge had to actually chase him down a little bit to let him know, hey, you got to bring that bar forward. And he had to walk all the way back and then walk all the way back again, and that's a costly mistake there. Round round of 2 about it in the books for Zach George, the early leader. We spoke about the mix of, well, you go touch and go early or you go singles early. This was the man that went touch and go right out of the gate in that round of 10, and that might have bit him in the end.
I think it did. If you haven't done this event, if you haven't done anything like it, you don't know what it's going to feel like. Even though you get to 5 reps and you feel like you're all golden, 1 rep later, that may be all gone.
We're still about a minute and a half away from the 17-minute time cap. Our 4th finisher will be about 2 minutes behind 3rd place Lucas Hoberg. Zach George with 1 final rep, and it is a good one. He'll make his way over the bar into the finish mat at 15 minutes 44 seconds, and hit him with the backpack dance there, Zach.
Well, I think what happened was that the pace that Zach and Marcus set to start with, it may have been a bit too much for Zach to be able to maintain, but I also think it kind of lured everybody else out into a pace because it's a widespread field.
Last rep in lane number 8 for Alec Harwood. He'll be our 5th finisher in at 16:13. Meanwhile, lane number 1, Marcus Eriksson, this work in the round of 4. And this event, just looking at where the bars are on the floor as we're in the final 30 seconds, this is definitely an event of the haves and the have-nots, it seems, at least in heat number 1.
It definitely is, and I think we've still got a lot to see in the events to come of how these things pan out.
Now, a hit in the points, and it's early, yes, but it's never too early to really think about the point implications. And Arne Bjorn Christensen came into this event in 4th. He won't stay there very long as he's one of a handful of athletes left. And that, I'm not going to guess what happens there for Piotr Milcharek. But he will be tended to, and we'll get you an update if we get one on his condition there.
I think it does look like he's cramped up, and I know that we've had several other athletes who felt the same kind of problem. And we've had Marcin Sabaj withdrew because of knee pain as well. I mean, these things happen.
Yep, it is a competitive event, and that was a tough first test that these athletes had. But there were a couple of athletes that it didn't look like that first test was really that hard based on their performance in event number 2, as the event leader is Roman Krenikov, 2nd in the point standing. So 2nd in event 1. He's the leader after heat 1 here in event 2.
And here's Roman. And he did a great job of just staying consistent, taking it easy in the transitions between the different movements, and then increasing his pace in between them in the end, coming off to a great finish. And this is where he made his move. Just a little bit faster in the transition. You see him now running as opposed to walking a little earlier, and that's where he got it.
And the possible points leader, if this holds, after day number 1, Roman Krenikov, he leads the way in event 2, and he's with Nikki Brazier.
So we've got Roman here and a translator to help us out a little bit. My question for you is, it was neck and neck for you coming through the end. How does having someone right next to you push you to get to the end?
Ты держался вместе со своим соседом, то есть ты за ним гнался. Тебе это помогало или тебе это мешало?
Мне это помешало. Я изначально думал, что Хоуберг даст хороший темп, но когда я увидел, что он делает взятие по одному, то есть синглами, я думаю, что я совершил ошибку и пошел в его темпе, хотя я мог быстрее. Испугался, опыта не хватило.
So he thinks that it was a mistake to keep on with the Holberg because he was thinking that he will go fast. And at some point, Roman understood that he's going too slow. He's doing singles, and probably he could have done better if he just moved in his own pace from the very beginning.
I got you. Well, you still did a fantastic job. Great day 1 for you here. Nice work.
And we have heat number 2 coming up next.
for the men's event. And on this heat we have the following gentlemen doing this event. On lane number 1 from CrossFit Ireland is Sam Stewart. On lane 2 from Mad Hall CrossFit we have Dimitris Fotiou. On lane 3 from CrossFit Idol we have Alexander Ilin. On lane 4 from CrossFit Wroclaw we have Piotr Czucinski. On lane 5 from CrossFit 72D we have Bronislav Olenkovic. On lane 6 from CrossFit Vitus we have Kevin Winkens. On lane 7 from Train Blue CrossFit we have David Strupek. On lane 8 from CrossFit 82 we have Arminas Valevisius. On lane 9 from CrossFit Riga we have Uldis Upenieks. And in lane 10 from CrossFit Prestanda we have Victor Longsved. A lot of hands are up right now to mark the end of the first round of 10. And the first one to do it is lane 8, Uldis Upenieks. And on lane 7, David Strupek. Linda has 55 repetitions of all the movements. So the first 3 rounds already consist of almost half of the work you have to perform on this event. Lane 3, Alexander Ilin, and lane 6, Kevin Winkens are keeping the lead here. But it's Bronislav Olenkovic with the cap on, coming first out of the bench. On the bench press, the judges are looking for that all the lifters will keep their glutes on the bench, their back on the bench, and their foot on the floor. And they have to reach full extension. All the lifters have a spotter behind them, so should the lifter not be able to bench press up, the spotter will then help them, but that will of course be a no rep. And after 2 rounds, we can already see Alexander Ilin, Bronislav Olenkovic, and Kevin Winkens keeping the lead. But as we saw with the last heat, Zach George went all out for the first few rounds, but then after that, others came from behind and took the win. And your leader for the round of 8 squat cleans is Alexander Ilin, followed closely by Bronislav Olenkovic in full black and a black cap on in lane 5. your current leader for the second heat is Alexander Ilin, moving on to the set of 7 deadlifts. The unofficial time for the heat win on Krenikov on the first heat was 12:50. So that's the time to beat here. And if it hasn't been clear already, this event will most likely be decided on the bench press. How many men can go unbroken for all 10 rounds? Already you can see Alexander Ilin struggling a bit with the benches he's doing. Olenkovic is going unbroken on his ones, and he's catching up with that. If the first event today tested these athletes' endurance on the run and the row, this one definitely tests their strength endurance and is better suited for stronger athletes. Alexander Ilin still holding on to his lead, but Bronislav Olenkovic right behind him. And the thing to look at here right now is lane 3 on Ilin. How will he perform his bench presses? And Kevin Vinkens is catching up right now on lane 6 in a blue shirt, already at his deadlifts. And Ilin has to take a break here. Can Olenkovic go unbroken here on lane 5 and catch him? And he does it. And Bronislav Olenkovic catches up. And on lane 6, Kevin Vinkens gets no rep because his glutes doesn't touch the bench. During the bench press, the glutes have to stay on the bench. If at any point during the lift they come up, that is a no rep. And we have a new leader, ladies and gentlemen. Lane 5, Bronislav Olenkovic. Making quick work of that 5 deadlifts. And Braun is moving up to his set of 5 squat cleans right now, building his lead up considerably. And Olenkovic, the clear leader in this heat. The time to beat was something around 12:50. So if Olenkovic wants to catch that time, he has to speed up. And on currently second place on this heat, Alexander Ilin moving on to his fourth round. Kevin Vinkens on third right now, and the rest of the heat far behind these three men. And Olenkovic comes over to his set of four. He's still got around 90 seconds. If he wants to beat Krenikov's time, he's gonna have to run. And it seems that Roman Krenikov's winning time from heat one will stay. And even after this heat, he will be the event leader in the Europe Regional. Olenkovic is leading right now with 1 round ahead of Vinkens and Ilin, and that's the matchup to look at. Who will be second in this heat? Will it be Vinkens? Will it be Ilin? And Olenkovic on lane 5, moving on to his last set of 2 bench presses. Here he comes over. And it seems Alexander Ilin is gonna take the second place in his heat if Kevin Vinkens does not speed up. And Olenkovic lane 5, only 1 round to go. And there he is, lane 5, rolling over to his last squat clean. Give it up for Bronislav Olenkovic, your Heat 2 winner. And Alexander Ilin on his set of 2 squat cleans. Kevin Vinkens sprinting up. Can he catch up? This will be a really tight race to watch. Who will take it? Who will take it? Ilin is leading by a few seconds. And it's a sprint, it's a sprint. Ilin is leading by a few seconds. And that it is. Your second place finisher is Alexander Ilin from lane 3, and your third place finisher is Kevin Vinkens from lane 6. And ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 minutes left on this event, and we have a lot of men still on the field. Put your hands up. Show some love for these guys on the fields. Come on! And currently fighting for that 4th place right now on lane 10 right now, Victor Longsved. He might be your event, the heat number 4 in this heat And Longswed moves on to his last bench press on lane 10. 1 minute to go in this heat. And Longswed gets his last bench press. He's got 30 seconds plus to finish this heat. And all the reps count, ladies and gentlemen. That is Victor Longswed. And we have 20 seconds, and that's with the first heat. I know you can put your hands together, show some love, make some noise. 15 seconds to go. Don't stop making that noise right now. Every rep counts, ladies and gentlemen. 10 seconds to go. 5, 3, 2, 1. Put your hands together for heat number 2.
And away we go with heat number 3 of 4. As everybody here in this one, including our points leader after the opening event, ready to take on the biggest round, the round of 10, to take out about a fifth of the reps that they'll have in this entire event.
And as we've seen before, it's important to get a good start, and obviously you can't put yourself in a hole to start with and have to catch up with too much. But at the same time, you don't want to go out there and expend everything you've got and then find yourself slowing down significantly on the last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 reps.
Very smooth on that set of 10 from Untitled. One of the few athletes that's going to be below the bench press weight. That's a games contender. There's not going to be many below that 195. He comes in at 187.
He does, but with the first athlete to grab the bar was Sigurdur Þrastazson, and it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see Sigurdur. He said that the last event spoke to his strengths. I think this may too.
He is good with a barbell. His max deadlift 265 kilos, so strength not really out of his realm of strengths here. As Þrastazson, one of the athletes that might have paid attention earlier, as he's going with the singles. In fact, I don't see anybody going for the touch and go like we saw in the first couple of heats.
And fast singles is not a bad idea at all. You're going to save your hamstrings, your glutes, and your lower back a lot. It's also going to save your grip a little. I don't think any of these guys are actually having trouble with the grip, but anything that will conserve energy but at the same time maintain speed and you can circle through the repetitions fast, they're going to appreciate. Mundweiler here already threw his deadlifts onto the bench press again.
Þrastazson in first, Mundweiler in second, and Lipka, I do believe, in third over in lane number 1. There's a few within close range of each other. We mentioned it in heat number 1. After the round of 9, you're through 19 of 55 reps of each movement. It feels like it's going to be easy from there because you're like, hey, I already got most of this thing done. You're through the round of 8, you're halfway through the work. But that's when it gets really tough because a lot of people start hitting the throttle around that round of 6 or 5.
Exactly, and that's also when you start seeing a little bit of division in the field. Some will have gotten ahead of you, that people that you normally may think that you should catch up with. So you accelerate a little bit, but there's still so much work to be done. I'd rather see an athlete start out with a controlled pace, so to speak, and then picking it up in the transitions in the end.
So it's a broken set, but it's touch and go for 5 reps for Fredrik Agidius on the right side of the screen. And we haven't seen any of the veteran athletes go for those big sets of touch and go, and let's see how this works out for Agidius, who had a solid finish in event number 1. He comes into this in 7th, and of the games athletes, the notable games athletes here in the field, he's 2nd, as Lucas Hogberg was 3rd. So he's doing well after that first event. He's pretty safe, obviously, at this. Not safe for those 5, but you know where I'm getting at. He's in striking distance, better than he normally likes to do early on. But it's an interesting strategy that he had on those cleans.
It is interesting. So, as I said a little bit earlier, he did do this event not too long ago. So I mean, it's still fresh in his head, and he knows what he's kind of going for. And I think that's going to help him. Just that knowing the feeling, knowing how fatigued he was with his current level of fitness.
4 minutes in. He's not looking like he's too comfortable at this point. It's a lot of heavy breathing here, and obviously that is going to happen, but that's a lot of heavy breathing
But then again,
for being in the round of 8.
That is Frederick, his trademark, is his facial expression. He looks like he's about to die, and he always does, but I don't know, it's just the way he's always done things. So I'm not too worried at all. Not yet.
Filer continuing to be out in front, just ahead of Thrusterson.
Moonviler starting to string together some reps as well. That may be a thought that he had to start with, that go singles on the first couple of sets, and then after that, start stringing them together, but yeah, back to singles.
Maybe testing out that feel to see about where he might want to start doing that for sticking with it.
I think that's exactly what he's doing. Looking at what happens to my heart rate, how does it feel in my my lower back and my hamstrings as I bring the barbell back to the ground.
So Moonviler continuing to lead, but it's only by about a quarter of a second now, as on the right side of the screen is Lazar Dukic, who is making his way up through the field in lane number 8.
So Serbian pride right there. I met him yesterday, and he was very excited about this event. We had a little bit of a talk and check-in, and this was one of the events that he felt really comfortable with, and that he was looking forward to doing so.
He might have to be careful of his arms there on that deadlift. It wasn't quite bouncing it, but he was kind of flirting with that line a little bit there.
It is brave to flirt with it, though. It is brave. At the same time, with the vantage point that we have, and then the vantage point that the judge has, super confident that the judge is having a conversation with him. You may be exploring the gray area. Bench press looking good, though.
Both continuing to look smooth as they work through the round of 7. We're now past the halfway point in terms of the reps in this event. And that might have been the tester round in the round of 8 for Moonviler. He's through 3, now 4 on the clean, still going touch and go. He'll now drop it. So it looks like the plan might be, at least for the time being, get most of the reps out of the way, and then looks like singles to finish it out.
And it could even be a move on the other competitors as well, bringing himself ahead because he likes to be ahead and likes to be chased, whereas other athletes that we've talked to have said that it's always nice to be chasing and then being able to catch up and kind of make a move later in the event.
So Dukic and Thrusterson continue to fight for second. Bit of a window opening up for Moonviler as he makes his way back to the deadlift bar for the round of 6.
Completely unfazed on these deadlifts as well. It's still 295 pounds.
Thrusterson was right there with Dukic for a little bit in that set. He slowed pretty considerably on the squat cleans to close out the round of 7.
And it may be a tactic. We've already seen that Thrusterson knows how to break his workout or his event up, and how to plan what he's going to go out there and how he's going to execute everything. So it may be a part of the game plan. Take it easy for a round or 2 and then speed up again. I just hope that he didn't blow everything on the first couple of rounds, but Thrusterson's got too much experience to do that. Lazar Dukic on the bench presses again.
The 2-time consecutive fittest man in Serbia through the open, trying to chase down Adrian Moonviler, who was in position, really, if you look at where he was a year ago, to make a second straight trip to the games. His weekend cut short 1 year ago. Maximizing this return, 9th place in event number 1. He's out in front, looking pretty solid with our lead pace, set in heat 1 by Roman Kronikov. 12 minutes, 50 seconds, the time to beat. That about 4.5 minutes from now, as we're down to the final 15 reps of each movement.
It's going to be exciting to see whether whether Adrian knows that this is the time he's chasing, or if he just goes out there, executes his game plan, and then kind of sees where it all ends up.
Untitled continuing to look strong on this bench press.
He does, and I like the way that he doesn't look phased, doesn't look stressed, doesn't commit to one way of moving the barbell. He's committed to doing it well. So if it's single or if it's stringing together multiple reps, it doesn't really matter to him. And he's back to stringing them together.
And I don't think it's about to be the majority anymore. He's just going to go for the entire set at this point. 5 straight. Untitled, he'll advance the bar to the 4 spot on the floor. 4 rounds remain. That is 10 reps of each movement. And he has opened up a wide lead over Dukic.
And Dukic has a pretty good gap down to everybody else.
I do believe it'll be Agidius sitting in 3rd. He is inched ahead of Thrusterson. Actually, keep Thrusterson in 3rd by about a rep over Agidius. But not having to worry about any of that. Adrian Untitled sees through the 4 deadlifts, now working on the set of 4 bench press.
And he looks strong, looks good.
2.5 minutes left until that time from Roman Krennikov. 12 minutes, 50.73 seconds, and that is definitely in danger. Adrian Untitled is cruising through event number 2. On to the final 3 rounds. Just 18 reps remain from Untitled, as he's got about 2 minutes to finish him. Now keep in mind, 1 heat still remains after this one.
And everybody needs to remember this. We've talked about it before, but we cannot say it often enough. Athletes on the floor have to remember that they are competing with all the other athletes in heats before and in heats after, so they really can't game it too much. They need to go out there and perform their absolute best all the time.
Dukic trying to hang on to that 2nd position. He sees that lead almost become a lapped situation. Adrian Untitled, the former Swiss Division I hockey player, has 2 rounds remaining. But still a minute 15 until the time to beat that we might as well start calling the prior time to beat. On to the final 9 reps from Untitled. 2 deadlifts in the books, 2 bench press left.
And no stopping whatsoever. Still has plenty left in the tank.
Running his way to the 145-pound, 66-kilo bar for the set of 2 on the cleans. Back to back, he's got about 40 seconds left. 1 rep of each. This round almost a nuisance round of everything. Just having to make your way through this field one more time. There's the deadlift. There's the easy bench press. And Adrian Untitled is 1 rep away. He's got about 12 seconds. He wants the crowd to get into it with him. 9th in event number 1, currently 1st place in event number 2. Welcome back, Adrian Untitled. 12:45 for Adrian.
And very impressive the way he had a little left in the tank. So when he looked at the clock, you saw him in the round of 3s, looking at the clock, increasing his pace even more to make sure that he got, well, the fastest time so far.
Roman Krennikov will continue to hang on to the provisional 2nd place. 3rd will continue to be held by Marcus Schmidt at 13:08. We're going to start seeing times become a factor as 9 of the first 20 athletes to do this event were able to beat the time cap. Still 3.5 minutes away. Frederick Agidius trying to hold off Klaus Ugerhoy.
So Lazar Dukic is still in second place, but it's an epic fight right now between the two Danes, Klaus Herøy Ugerhøi and Frederik Egidius. And it's interesting to see now that they're both picking up the pace. Who has partitioned this best?
They're on the round of 2, the round of 1 now in the books. The event now in the books for the two-time fittest man in Serbia. Dukic in at 13:59. Should give him a top 5 position with 1 heat remaining. Ugerhøi quicker through the squat cleans and onto the final round, just ahead of Egidius in our race for 3rd here in the heat.
This is when you want Frederick to remember that Ugerhøi may be faster right now, but he needs to put up a good time to compete with the heat that have been and the heat that is to come. Ugerhøi doing a great job on the bench press right now, sprinting the way up for the last clean.
And he needs this coming out of this opening day, 26th in the first event. He'll be in a pretty solid position with 1 heat remaining. Give him 3rd in the heat for Klaus Ugerhøi. In at 14:46, Frederick Egidius will be in right about the 15-minute mark. 14:58.9 for Egidius. We have 2 minutes until the time cap. A solid start for Frederick there on day 1.
It's a very good start. He did great in the first event, the second event. I think he did great as well.
Points leader coming into this event likely will not hang on to that points lead, as Sigurður Thrustarsson walking his way to the deadlift bar for the final time. And it's not that he did poorly in this, it's just that there's some people here in this one that just got him on it.
There are some really explosive heavy hitters in here that just they thrive in challenges like this. And I think it's obvious that Sigurður Thrustarsson, he thrives in a longer event. Casually walking up to the barbell where everybody else was sprinting.
And second time today coming across the line, bit of a hobble there. He got over the bar, 16:06 the time for Thrustarsson, good for 5th in the heat. Got 40 seconds left. Only person that might be in striking distance is still beating the cap is up in lane number 10, about to run onto the screen. That is Dirk Wunderlich. On the near side, closing out round number 3 into round number 2 is Bartek Lipka. Kasper Kuppelmark. Final 15 seconds. Lipka trying to get to the bench in his round of 2. Will be into the round of 1 for Wunderlich, but he will not be able to complete the bench. He did get through the deadlift. So just like we've seen the first 2 heats, half the field able to beat the time cap, half the field not. That have and have not trend continuing. Somebody that did not struggle and now leading the way with 1 heat remaining. Adrian Mundweiler making the most of his return here to regionals.
And so Adrian Mundweiler was smart. He was changing between going touch and go and going single reps on the cleans. In the deads, there was never really a question. It was more just a grip and grip thing. And on the bench presses, solid reps from the beginning to the end. And so had enough energy in the tank to be able to sprint to the last barbell and then finish.
Adrian Mundweiler, very good. Day number 1, he's with Nikki Brazier.
So this is an event that we're all familiar with, but certainly not right after the endurance event that you just had to go through. So what is your body feeling like right now?
It's great, easy day. Was a good first day. Like I'm used to in my training doing in the morning mostly long conditionings and then some strength stuff. So it was fine for me. Yeah, like I said, train hard and compete easy. Yeah.
Totally. Well, great job today.
Thank you very much.
As here in the Velodrome in Berlin, Germany, 1 heat remains for men's competition on day number 1. We close it out with event 2, also known as Linda, just with that little bit of a regional tweak to it as we standardize the weights, as Breda Domain and Mads Jakobsen with you, as well as Nikki Brazier on the floor. As this event, it's something that's known to the CrossFit community. We're just putting that different spin on it today.
Linda is a benchmark, and it consists of 10, 9, 8, 7, all the way down to 1 rep of deadlift, bench press, and squat cleans. There is a 17-minute cap on the event. And so here we've got Jack Cornthwaite, and I'm thinking Jack is going to be one of the athletes who's going to thrive in this.
So away we go for the men for the final time on day number 1 here at the Europe Regional, the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. They try to chase down Adrian Moonweiler with the top time, 12 minutes 45 seconds, as he's sitting in a solid position coming out of this opening day of competition with still this heat remaining. Somebody that finds himself in a position we really have never seen is Björkman Carl Gudmundsson, 13th in event number 1. So we watch everybody make their way quickly through the deads and into the bench press.
Björkman obviously isn't used to being in this position. At the same time, I think his mental fortitude is going to serve him well right now. He's going to stay cool, calm, and composed. He knows that it's not decided in the first sets. It's once you get a little bit deeper, a little bit further into the event, that it's really going to crystallize itself who's got the better game plan.
There is a look at BKG as he makes his way to the squat clean, 145 pounds, about 66 kilos.
So the weight's not going to be the issue for any of these guys, I can't imagine. It's about finding a way of circling through this, and that serves them well. So, you know, good technique and making sure that they've got a good game plan and that they're going to be able to stick with it and not get too caught up in how far everybody else has gotten. Andre
Ganene leading the way out of the round of 10 into the round of 9. Second is Hanna Malkowski. And PD Savage rounding out the top 3. Once again, PD Savage with that quick pace early on. We'll see if it helps out, works a little bit better than it did. He still held on to 5th in event number 1, but we did see him kind of fall off that pace just a little bit.
He did, and so in your screen right now in the top right corner, you've got Andre Ganene on the bench press. Now, he did talk to Nikki, and he did tell her that he's gotten stronger. His lifts had gone up substantially, and he felt like he was a stronger athlete this year. This looks easy for him. It's still early in the event, so these things could change as we progress, but he does look very strong. Bottom left, you've got Björkman, and Björkman, I'm thinking you're probably going to see him keep the same pace, very calm and collected up until the set of 5, and then he's going to start increasing his pace.
Andre Ganene on lane 3 in the red shirt already back to these squat cleans.
It's an interesting position for both of these athletes. Gudmundsson, we spoke about it. He very rarely is outside of the top 5, let alone the top 10 in events. Finds himself in 13th coming into this one. For Ganene, it's one of those years where, all right, 8 of the top 10 from last year are now in the Meridian. Only 2 of the top 10 are here in Europe. There's a wide open opportunity for somebody that has kind of just been knocking on the door, and it's almost like, all right, you got the tools. When are you going to put it all together? This is his opportunity, and he stands there leading the way here in this heat.
And I think he's trying to make an early point, both for himself but also for everybody else, that he's here because he wants to progress to go to Madison for the Reebok CrossFit Games.
Now, while he continues to cruise, we saw something very interesting with Björkman Carl Gudmundsson breaking up the bench press. It's a little early for that. Is that strategy, or is that a little bit of a red flag?
I would think from Björkman that is strategy. He's been told to start, or he's agreed with his coaches to start with that. That's what he wants to do, because I think he's going to want to just save a little bit in the tank for the later heat so he can really make a move. The important thing, though, is that you don't go so slow that even though you make a move, you're too far out of striking distance. Ganene going touch and go here. Looking good.
This is the deepest we've seen somebody go touch and go from the start. See how that plays out, but obviously very confident in his ability to keep this pace.
Gina Malikowski in lane number 1 right here. He's opting for the singles, and I think that's smart because it looks like he's decided that his move is on the bench press and on the deadlift, and this is where he well, I can't really say recovers, but this is where he slows it down a little bit to be able to maintain that momentum.
So into the round of 7 for the leader Ganene. PD Savage racing with Malkowski to close out the round of 8 and advance back to the deadlift bar for 7 reps at 295 pounds, or about 134 kilos. But it's onto the bench for Ganene, 195 pounds, about 89 kilos on that.
And so the original execution of the event, Linda, the benchmark Linda, is that it's dependent on your body weight. When we talked to Ganene a little bit earlier, he referred to these weights as doing women's Linda. Considering that he's 104 kilos, the way he's done it in the past has been a lot heavier. But what that does, it increases your the speed that you're moving through this, which makes it a pretty strenuous workout. I mean, if anybody's ever tried lowering the weights on some other benchmarks and then just going faster, it's a horrible experience. So he may come in and be just a little bit too overconfident and having to pay the price when we get a little bit further into the event.
Now he finds himself in a little bit of a rough position after that first event, 17th place in the event, and obviously also in the point standings because of that being the opening event. How much of this pace could be the possibility of knowing, okay, I got to make up some points pretty quick here, especially with what might be a difficult third event coming up tomorrow. How much of that could become a factor for Ganene?
Oh, I'm pretty sure that he's been thinking about this. I think that coming into the event, like when he started out this morning, it was still in the plans and in the books that he was going to go hard and attack this because he does feel like it is in his wheelhouse. But coming off the first event, I think that he's probably looked in the mirror and said, you know what, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to go fast.
The interesting thing about this pace is normal. Whoa! That left arm for Ganene really kind of struggled there. I'm not sure if he clipped the bracing there or not. Based on the rest of them, that might have been what happened. But the interesting thing here is normally when you see somebody go with this quick pace, somebody kind of bites on it and tries to hang with them. It looks like everybody else in this field has just been like, all right, you do you, have fun, we're going to fight for second.
The closest we have to him is in lane number 1, Ganene Malkowski. And he tried to hang on to that pace, but just decided really fast it wasn't for him. And I think that was smart.
He's looking about 10, 11 reps behind Ganene. Make it about 11 reps, the differential. Malkowski on the right. Ganene continuing to lead the way as he's into the final 5 rounds. 15 reps of each movement remains. We have about 5.5 minutes still until the time to beat of 12 minutes 45 seconds. That in jeopardy. All dependent on if Ganene can keep this pace up.
He does look very, very strong, and he looks pretty unfazed so far. Now, we've seen that it may not be the case, and we all know from our own experiences and from what we've seen that at one point you can just hit the wall, you can hit it hard. But Ganene has been around for so long, I don't expect to see that from him.
Man making his 3rd individual regional appearance, 5th overall. He was team in 2014 and 2015, 9th in 2016, 14th with an event win 1 year ago. Ganene possibly setting up for a 2nd career event win at regionals for the fittest man in Russia this year in the Open.
And seeing that all athletes have to progress the bar, this is how far ahead Ganene is currently. It's pretty impressive because this is not in any way, shape, or form a slow heat. He's just incredibly fast, and he hasn't taken his foot off the gas at any point.
This has been a near perfect run if he can hang on to this. 10 reps of each movement remains as Ganene has lapped the field here in this event.
So lane number 1, we have Malkowski, and he's still sitting in 2nd. Savage is currently in 3rd, but not really in contention. I mean, it's a pretty big spread considering it's a fairly short event. what I like to see from Malikovsky right here is that his technique is still good. Now, he may be out of breath from going fast on the previous two movements, but he's keeping the bar close, he's passing it, he's letting the hips do the work, passing on the shoulders, sitting down fast with good posture, which is exactly what you want to see.
Ganene with the listed PR clean and jerk of 151 kilos, a little over 330 pounds. That 145-pound bar just child's play for him as he continues to go touch and go with the reps on the cleans, make his way back to the deadlift bar. Again, about 134 kilos, 295 pounds, onto the set of 3.
Making short work of those as well.
I'm starting to wonder if anybody, like, we're not going to question if this is going to beat the time of Adrian Mundweiler. That is way out from here. We've still got 2 minutes and 30 seconds until that. I'm starting to wonder if there's anybody in the world that can chase down this pace.
It is impressive. It is impressive, and even though it looks like a forced march more than a jog, it's still the fact that he's increasing his pace in between the transitions as well.
Round of 3 in the books for Ganene. This is just absolutely impressive. A full round ahead of second place Malkovsky. He's also making his way to the deadlift bar. Nobody else within a round and a half.
Fairly unfazed still. So on the bench press, the athletes have to have their feet in the ground, their butt on the bench, and they have to come all the way down to the chest and then all the way up to full extension, marking that clearly before they can pass or they can rack the bar again. Ganene does that easily, even though this is the finishing stages of the event.
2 touch and go, and he's going to be the first person here today to go touch and go from the start all the way through. I don't know how you can do this event any better than Ganene has done, as he has 1 rep of each movement remaining.
It's hard. It's hard. Now, obviously, athletes in the second and the third week will be able to make up a game plan, but you need to be very well-rounded as an athlete to be able to string this together. And look at that, running to the last rep.
Quick transitions, easy lifts, even as importantly, no reps. Andre Ganene, I don't know if you can do any better than that. 12:08 to take the event with ease.
He's got to be happy with his performance today. I'm not sure if he was super impressed with his own performance in the first event, but
that's more like it.
This is more like it.
17th in event number 1, first place in event number 2. Final round underway for Malkovsky. And the times for Mundweiler, 12:45, and Krennikov, 12:50, should stand for second and third. So you're looking at Roman Krennikov likely being the points leader after day number 1. Malkovsky, quick transition down the floor, gets to that final rep on the clean. He'll come across the mat just past the 13-minute mark. And that might give him a 4th place finish. We'll have to wait for the official scoring. This is a good event to be Russian. They'll take 3 of the top 4 spots.
And it's a pretty good distance to PD Savage right here.
Yeah, by the way, 3rd place, it's in the round of 3.
Yeah.
This is just...
It speaks volumes of the capacity of these 2 gentlemen right here on the floor.
Still about 3 minutes until the 17-minute time cap. This is important for Savage, trying to close this out. He entered this event in 5th. He won't catch the time of Lucas Högberg, who was ahead of him, nor Krennikov. Sigurdur Thrusterson is in striking distance of him. He was one of the finishers. Arne Kristjansson, also ahead of him in the point standings after that first event, was unable to beat the time cap.
And I can't help wondering what's going on with Björkvin. This is when I would have imagined him to make a push for it. I hope that he's okay.
I'm not going to lie, as far back as he is right now, you almost kind of forgot about him in this heat, as he's in the round of 4 with 2.5 minutes remaining until the time cap. And it not likely, but it's possible we could have a day where Gudmundsson, outside the top 10 in event number 1, you might get hit by the time cap in event number 2.
We've never seen anything like that. But that being said, this is Björkvin Gudmundsson. He is an icon of consistency. And he's mentally as strong as they get. So if there's anybody I'd never count out, that would be Björkvin.
It just, as Petey Savage gets to the bar for one final clean, he'll come across the line at about 15 minutes and 8 seconds, good for 3rd in the heat. But the story now is obviously Björkvin Karl Gudmundsson, and I don't know if this is just he got caught by 2 events or if there's something that's just off for him today, but he does not look like the BKG we see year in and year out.
He doesn't, which is I hope that maybe that is just fatigue from the previous event, and that he'll be coming back as the Björkvin of old again tomorrow.
He had to break up the set of 3 on the bench, and he's been breaking up, I believe, every set. I haven't caught all of them, but he's got a minute to get through these final 2 rounds plus 1 rep.
And Mitchell Adams right here in lane number 7 just finished up.
And believe it or not, we might go through all 4 of these heats with half the field finishing, half the field unable to beat the time cap.
And if there's anything that this teaches all of us out there, it is that you should never forget about your benchmark workouts.
And this has been a shocking day number 1 on the men's side of the Europe Regional. One final rep for Philip Bisgaard. Off camera, he'll come through. There he is, as we're in the final 20 seconds, and we're in a day where Björkvin Karl Gudmundsson is in significant jeopardy after day number 1, and it's a relative unknown that might find himself on top of the leaderboard. Welcome to regional season. It might be a year of chaos, as Gudmundsson, with a full round remaining, unable to beat the time cap.
He doesn't look happy, and like I said, I just hope that he's all right. I hope that this was the first workout, the first event that kind of took its toll on him, and he comes back tomorrow revitalized with that fire inside him that we know that he has.
So there's been a lot of things that have been unexpected today on the men's side. One thing that wasn't unexpected at all, Andre Ganene, very impressive here in event number 2. He takes the event win.
And so he was consistency all the way through. Bench press is looking easy. Initially jogging in the transitions onto the cleans. The cleans, he kept them together, went touch and go on pretty much all of them from the very beginning. And on the deadlifts, he was unfazed. That was just, the max strength numbers are going up. And I think going through it, increasing the pace all the way we talked about, led him to this, being able to finish way ahead of everybody else.
And Andre Ganene standing by with Nikki Brazier.
Andre, you flew through those movements. It seemed like the bar was too light for you, and you were saying actually you train much heavier. What do you normally train at?
I train as it's subscribe with my weight. It's too heavy. It's about 150 kilograms on deadlift, and then I try go unbroken, but not every time.
Well, you do. It was still an incredible time. Now you're saying your hamstrings are a little tight. Do you think it was from that last event? How are you feeling?
Maybe because I didn't run whole winter and run this complex only 2 times, and I can't understand my pace.
Okay.
Yes, I can run fast, but I don't understand pace.
Well, you still did a great job and an awesome day to close out, or awesome way to close out day 1. Nice work.
Thank you.
Awesome being an understatement there for Andre Ganene in how he closed out day number 1 on the men's side of competition, as he takes this one by over a half minute And I think the gauntlet is down for everybody else in the last 8 regionals to go after this one in this event. If anybody can beat that time of 12:09, it's going to take a yeoman's effort to do it.
Well, they changed around. The roles are changed. Ganene used to be out there chasing everybody else. Now, everybody else is going to find themselves chasing, well, Ganene amongst others, of course.
So about the majority of the field were unable to beat the time cap, so scoring isn't really going to be a great look at this point. So if you do want to keep up with that, you can follow it on games.crossfit.com as the scores become official. But that closes out day number 1 for the men here at the European Regional. We have event number 2 coming up next for the ladies, and that is coming up in just a few moments here in Berlin, Germany.